You're listening to Ricky and Jimmy on Relationships, the show where we uncover the thoughts and behaviors that are sabotaging your relationship and what you can do about it. Jimmy and I are passionate about sharing the ways that imperfect partners like you and I can shift unhealthy relational dynamics and create closeness. So welcome. Drop your defenses and open your heart, eyes, and ears. Let's learn how to be the best partner we can be together. Welcome back to Ricky and Jimmy on Relationships. We've missed you guys. I know you guys have. I know you guys have missed us because we've been getting messages. When are you guys coming back? Well, we're back. So we have a lot of catching up to do with this episode. Between episodes, Jimmy and I will forward each other posts that we love and content that we find online. So we're going to be commenting on that a lot today too. So this one's kind of for the true fans who've missed us and are listening to every single episode. We're going to be very rambly today. There's going to be a lot of interruption. So if you're one of the people, that's bothered by that, turn away now. This is not the episode for you.
Yeah,
but
we don't really have, sometimes we have a framework. Sometimes we're like, you know what? We have a subject that we really want to like dive deep into, but this time we're just going off the cuff a little bit. So if I say something that you completely disagree with, I'm going to ask for a little bit of grace, you know?
And I will ruthlessly interrupt you as soon as that happens.
I thought you were also going to say correct you, which I'm totally fine with both
but I could do that too if you want. Yeah.
I love it when you're like, you know what? We need to have more episodes where things that we disagree on, because people are like, what do they disagree on?
I would love that. There's a fair amount that we things. Yeah, that would be a really good one. I would do an episode on that.
Yeah. And it's fun finding them on the fly.
It
too.
is.
I hope we find one tonight where you're like,
I hope we do too.
I disagree with that. Like, okay, great.
I feel like you're somebody that I can have like very respectful disagreements with too. And I usually learn something. Yeah. So
isn't that what this is all about? I mean, aren't we all supposed to just be kind and respectful? And you know what? Even if I disagreed with you, your perspective still matters to me.
Totally. You know? And it doesn't mean that I can be like, wow, I really learned something about Jimmy, you know, like without my opinion being changed, and it's still an interesting interaction.
Because at the end of the day, isn't that kind of how we're supposed to look at people? I mean, there's so much division in this world. And when you really get down to it, sure, on different ends of the spectrums, there is things that are like, no, racism is wrong. I don't need to I don't need to like empathize with how you came into that. No, we can just all agree like, no, we're not going to, I don't need to try to understand that perspective per se. I mean,
right. But there are a lot of things where it's a good idea to let other people be who they are and believe what they want without without losing sleep over that, you know?
I guess what I'm trying to say is, like Stan said in our last episode, and we're going to be referencing that a lot. We got to interview Ricky, one of Ricky's favorite authors, Dr. Stan Tatkin.
Top three, easy.
And her favorite book is Wired for Love. And we cannot, I wish I could take all of you back to the moment where his team reached out to us and they were like, hey, would you like to have Dr. Stan Tatkin on? I'm so naive and I'm so new to this. I literally didn't know I was like, I couldn't believe that they were actually saying what they were saying. So I literally kept emailing them back and I was like, what exactly do you mean by having Stan on? And they're like, finally, they're like, on your podcast, would you like to have physically Stan sitting there? And I was like, yes, whatever that is. Yes. And then I immediately called Ricky and I was like, I have some news for you.
Sit down for this. Yes. And it took us a while to set up the appointment, but we did it. I'm excited.
We had a lot of summer and everything's going on. Okay. I'm sorry. Can I get back to, I have a bad habit of tangenting. No, okay, please do. All I was
Let's do
saying
it.
is if someone, at the end of the day, we're all shaped by our past. We're all shaped by our memory. We're all, so take someone that does have a view that differs from you. If you care about that person. Now, if someone's racist and I don't care about them, then I have no influence. I'm not going to be able to influence them anyway. So I don't need to argue with them about, I don't need to change their mind on racism. That's not my job. Right. But if this is someone you care about, if this is your grandfather or grandmother, and you want to have a relationship with this person, it's always a good idea to understand their past, understand the lens by which they view the world, Because through understanding and building that relationship, and that's how we can influence people, and we can kind of plant those seeds of like, well, have you ever thought about this? Or have you ever, how do you feel on, because at the end of the day, I just don't believe that people are inherently bad. I don't either. Yeah. And you don't either. And we agree on that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I have a win in that category right there.
Tell me.
My sister and I are very, very different. We're basically best friends, but we're very different people. And we had a no-go topic. It was something that we both felt very differently about. And we made it a no-go topic because she was having trouble sitting with the fact that I didn't think the same way that she did.
Absolutely.
And for a while, it was really hard. And for a while, I just said, hey, I really care about my relationship with you. I talked to her on the phone like every day. I said, let's just make this a no-go topic because we can still be awesome friends and not discuss this thing. And it's gotten to the point now where we can lightly discuss it, and when it starts to feel a little heated, we just are like, okay, topic change. But
I bet there's a ton of those in countless relationships where it's just
tons. Yeah.
We can't talk about politics and we can't talk
some couples can't.
So they can't.
Some couples can't.
Now, going back to what you said earlier, I just don't know if you and I would have that problem. I don't think we would. I don't think we would. And I guess all I'm saying is that I would want that for everyone. Wouldn't that be nice? Ideally. But you're a lot more respectful about me having different ideas than you. I guess I just called my sister disrespectful. She's not listening. Sometimes she does. But if you're having trouble respecting someone's different point of view, that's when there's a no-go topic, Yeah. Like I can't even, I guess it would be if you were talking to somebody who was really proud of their racism. I have trouble respecting that. So that would be a no-go topic for me, Very much so. Yeah. And you know what? That's okay. I mean, that's okay.
They're still your grandpa. They're still your grandpa.
And you can love them. And even though doesn't matter who they voted for, you can still love them. You don't have to get into those massively. I think that's something, this is way off topic. I promise you.
I know we're talking about politics.
We're not talking about politics. And I like that.
You know what we're talking about. Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, that's something we all need to pay attention to on ourselves is if somebody starts talking about who they're going to vote for in 2024, and that stirs in us some sort of a rage, that's something we should pay attention to. I mean, absolutely. It's okay to get passionate about the things that we care about, but are we losing influence in our most important relationships because of our strong political views? It's okay to have great political, it's okay to have political views, but it's not okay to compromise important relationships because for those types of things.
You know what, Jimmy? We can bring this back around to relationships too, though.
I would love to do that.
Get ready for that. From what you just said, though, if you feel like really strong, overpowering emotions coming up in a regular discussion, that might be a signal to pause, because you don't want to keep having a discussion when your temperature is rising above safety levels. And two, when you feel big emotions like that, it's worth further inspection. Yes. Maybe alone, maybe in a journal, maybe with a therapist. Why do I have such big, strong feelings about this?
I love that. And we're probably going to touch on a lot of things that Stan talked about because we didn't really get a chance to really have good back and forth, because when there's three people, you want to be respectful of each other, so you don't get to have this where you're interrupting each other, which I actually really like. I don't know if I've gone on record and said that, but
no, let me say that also.
When Ricky interrupts me. That's part of this dynamic is you both have to just be, I don't know. Nobody wants dead airspace. And so you're kind of just playing off each other.
Well, we don't.
Sometimes you interrupt.
Some people might, but I'm not into it.
I'm not into it.
And there are lots of podcasts with lots of dead space for the people who hate interrupters. Ours is not it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know what's in my throat, but
that's okay.
I'll just cut this.
Or not.
Okay. Or not. So what I was going to say was what Stan said that I'm sure you found fascinating when it comes to when we have those moments where we're boiling. Here's my problem. And a lot of people are probably like this. I'm like the frog in the kettle.
Oh,
where
I know where you're going with this.
I don't know that I'm boiling until I'm dying.
Boiled. Yeah. Yeah.
And I have a big problem with that. And I've actually had discussions with Emily where I say, please, and goes back to multiple things that Stan said, but where our partners need to be engaged with us and aware and paying attention to where when we start to elevate, they can say, I think you're getting a little bit heated. Like, let's bring the tension down a little bit. Like, I care about what you're saying. I know you're passionate about this, but like, I feel like things are just getting a little bit, and then it's up to us. That takes a lot of maturity and humility on our point to be like, okay, I'm still upset. But like, I remember agreeing that when they say, hey, I think you're getting a little bit upset, that we accept that influence because we trust this person and we do whatever we need to do. And we can talk about some of those things. I'm very fascinated about what to do in that moment. For me, like you said, taking a pause, I have a tendency, as most people know, to just over talk. And if I'm upset about something, I'm just going to beat you with my words. I'm talking. And so if somebody gives me a clue, like, hey, I think you're getting upset, it's my job to be quiet. And at least it's not that
accept
I shouldn't
their
talk
influence,
about it.
right?
Yes. It's not that it doesn't need to be talked about. It's that you need a chance to calm down. You need to get regulated. And so I would love for you to speak on a little bit more about kind of regulation. Oh,
before I do that though, let me throw a Stan quote out based on what you just said.
Yeah.
He said we need to be our partner's whisperer. And I think that was maybe my favorite part of the whole podcast episode.
Nice? I know.
Yeah. But being your partner's whisperer is maybe Emily can tell when you start to get heated better than you can. She's kind of the Jimmy whisperer in that way. And she's like, I can sense the temperature rising. Let's take a breather. Come back to this.
Yep.
What a beautiful thing.
What do I do?
What do you do as your partner's whisperer?
No, what do I, like when I need to calm down? I know what I do, but like, is there anything that you would add? I would go and take a break. Obviously, the Gottmans say you should take at least a 30 to 45 minute break. And
I didn't know there was a time on it. That's helpful. Yeah.
And what you should do, see, the problem is you'll be tempted in that 30 minutes. Like, let's say you're in an argument, things are heated, and somebody calls a timeout, which both of you should be allowed to do. We should be able to say, I'm calling a timeout, and both of you have to agree to respect that. And that's one of the things I love. Stan talked about those agreements that we have to have. The problem that I see in so many relationships, including my own, we never had any agreements. Just like Stan said, it was the wild, wild west.
The Wild West, yes.
It's true, and it's destructive. It's destructive.
Yeah.
You have to have certain agreements that we've all agreed upon. And just like Stan said, how many times am I going to say just like Stan said? This is going to be just like Stan said episode. I'm sorry.
That's what we could call it.
$5 for every time Jimmy says. Okay, but just like Stan said, I forgot now, so it doesn't matter. But
moving along. No, just like Stan said, both partners need to respect the other one's needs and call for a timeout and have agreements before things get heated, you know?
Oh, talking about what you're going to do before there's a conflict is absolutely, that's huge. So anyways, I would go and calm down. But what the Gottmans would say is you need to take that 30, 45 minutes break, but you can't sit there and mull over like your anger. Like you can't sit there and think, you know what I'm going to say when I get back in there? Oh my gosh, I'm going to tell
and one
them.
more point. Yeah.
It's not that. That's not what the break is for. The break is for you to calm down. And it's difficult not to think about that thing, but you have to try to not think about that.
Yeah, boy. Easier said than done for sure. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I loved what he said too, about, and I hope he said this during the recording phase and not in the off time, but he said, when him and his wife are angry at each other and they go to bed. Do you remember that?
Yeah, they touch toes. Yeah.
Yeah, they have to touch toes no matter how mad they are. I love that. I love that. I think he said something about it being like very regulating too. You know, it's comforting and like, I hate this person, but I still have their toes touching me to remind me that they still care.
And it's another agreement that we are coming together even though we feel disconnected. We are coming together.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to work through this week. It's a team mindset. Like even if we're not on the same page tonight, we
Yeah.
are committed to being on the same page. And I just think
I love
that's,
it.
that stuff is so, Stan loves to talk about, you're on the same team. You're both in this together. When you read his books, I get such a good sense of like, I'll give you an example. One of my favorite quotes was when he was talking to you and he said, think about your relationship as you're both out on a high wire or a tightrope, or I can't remember.
Yeah. A high wire. Yeah, that was
In my head,
powerful.
I imagine two people over the Grand Canyon and we both holding on to the same bar, balancing
Yeah.
ourselves. And his point was, when one person gets dysregulated, the bar's tipping. So like,
Yeah.
he didn't mean to make the point that it's our responsibility as like a codependent, like I need to take on your emotions, I need to take on. What he meant was, sometimes the bar is going to go this way, sometimes the bar is going to go this way, and we're both on the same team. So if this thing goes
Yeah.
over, we're both going over. So like,
Yeah.
it's in my best interest to help you when your bar's tipping, to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hey,
Yeah.
let's calm this down.
Calm
Like,
down.
let's figure out what's going on. I care about whatever you're passionate about. So like, you don't need to yell to be heard. Does that make sense?
And to follow that metaphor, if we're shaking that wire, because we're angry or our
Yes.
partner feels that, it's
I love
not
that,
just
yeah.
us, it's our part. That's what I was imagining when he said that too.
Yeah. There's just so many things that when he was talking about that, I was like, that's such a good mind. That's such a good example for just
It's a
the
beautiful
team,
metaphor.
the team mindset. Like this relationship, and you've said this in the episode, is like, it's an entity in itself. You've created a separate entity. It's not just you anymore. It's not just them anymore.
Right.
It's you. It's y'all. I'm from the South.
Right.
So
like think up your couple name, because that's its own thing. You're Jimily, obviously.
obviously.
I don't have one yet,
You don't
but
have
that's
one, no,
yours
no,
is
no.
easy. Yeah.
Mine's easy.
And Jimily is its own thing,
Jimily is its own thing. And,
It's its own person.
And it's very important to point out that, and I pressed Stan on this, that it still goes back to a mutual balance. It should
Yeah.
it should not be where I'm always,
Right.
having to, I don't know what that, you know what I mean? Like I'm always having to correct your bar because of your
It's
anger and
unsustainable.
your rage and
Yeah.
your drinking and your addictions and your
Yeah.
pornography. That is not what, that's not what it means.
We're not our partner's savior, right? We're their
Thank
whisperer.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And my couple name is Cricky, by the way. I've decided that works. So
I'm not in love with it, but let's roll with it for
you
now.
can't go in different direction though. The other way doesn't work. So
Yeah.
anyway.
So yeah, I just think that's I think that's so fascinating. Just the idea of you're not their savior. Just because we are their whisperer, that does not mean that we're not setting boundaries in this
Totally.
relationship. Yeah. So there are some times, and Ricky would agree with this, that when someone is chronically disrespectful of your boundaries, when someone neglects your emotional needs, when someone refuses to accept your influence and refuses to stop doing harmful behavior to the us, such as all the things that I just listed,
yeah.
that relationship isn't sustainable. Even Stan said the other day, like, it's not, he said, I have bad news for people that don't care about meeting each other's needs. Like, that's not a relationship that's going to be sustainable.
Totally. You know what? I get questions every day, and I think you probably do too, from people who are saying, like, I'm in a marriage, maybe like a long-term marriage.
Yeah.
I'm the only one working. My partner's not working. I'm
100%.
exhausted. I'm done with this. But
Every email I get. Yeah.
yeah, most of them, right? But most of them that you get, not me. This is just a few of them for me. They're saying, I don't believe in divorce, or
Yes.
there's no way I could end this relationship because we have children. Just a little light question for you that I'm lobbing your way. What do
Obviously.
you say they do with that?
When
right?
to leave a marriage. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Just a light question.
Yeah. So here's what I'm going to say on that, because I will obviously, it would take me
An entire episode.
an entire episode
Yeah.
to talk about. And I'll be honest, like, I don't mind saying that, like, I don't know if I'm qualified to like answer that question. But some people would want to know my opinion. Like, well, what do you think?
Totally. Yeah.
So I made a video today, actually. It won't be today whenever I finally get around to editing this one, but it'll be a week ago. I made a video, and
well, the thumbnail for anybody looking for it is going through a breakup. Right?
Going through a breakup. Yep.
Yeah.
Here was my inspiration for that video, because I get a lot of emails from people who are dating. They're not married, they're dating. And I've gotten dozens and dozens of emails from it's usually women, but there's been maybe a couple of men. And they're essentially they broke up with their boyfriend, and then like it's been a couple weeks and they're starting to like, did I make the right decision? Was it, like, did I really give this relationship enough time? Did I really? They would write things in the email like he was getting better. Like he was, did I really give this enough of a chance? And I'm one thing that you need to know about Jimmy is I'm pretty brutal when it comes to dating relationships. So
Yes, same. I am too. The advice that I give for people who are dating is very different from the advice that I give to people who are in 20-year relationships with children.
Yep. Yeah, as it should be. I'm very brutal, and the reason I'm brutal is because I know personally how difficult marriage is. I know personally what happens when you're ignorant or arrogant, or you don't understand boundaries. You don't understand what a relationship needs to survive. You don't understand what all those things we just talked about. You don't understand how to do that. You don't understand how to be each other's whisperer. You don't understand. So the reason that I'm so brutal to people who are dating, borderline, I wouldn't say disrespectful. I'm stern. I'm stern with them. I'm like, listen, quit not understanding your worth. Quit not understanding yourself, your value. Quit not having any boundaries and calling that love.
I love that. I love that because the person who you couldn't make it work with, who you only dated for 2 months, is probably not somebody that you should be bending way back trying to change or fix or make it work with. It's really not. But someone who's been sticking it out with you for 10 plus years, that's a different story.
It's a different story. And that's not to say that there isn't still amazingly toxic dynamics just because you've been married for 10 years.
Right.
We totally understand that.
Right. And
sometimes
we can get to that 3-month relationship can work. I mean, Chris and I were super toxic in the beginning, and we're great. And I'm glad I stuck it out.
I thought about you when I was making that video. So,
did you?
I'll go through the video in a good way.
Okay.
So in the video, my inspiration was somebody who was dating. Let's say they've been dating for 6 months. Maybe they've been dating for a year. Maybe they've been dating for 2 years. And it was that woman who's like, they want to have kids soon. They want to get married soon. Their biological clock is ticking in their head.
Sure.
And they are in a prime spot to make some bad choices. And 10 years from now, or 5 years from now, or 3 years from now, they'll have a kid and they'll have a bad marriage and they'll be miserable and they'll probably get divorced anyways. And I'm not saying there isn't.
Why did you think of me?
No. Okay, I'll get back to that.
Right.
I'll get back to that because I didn't want that. I wouldn't want that for you. Now, that's not to say that things can't be beautiful. Like, I love when you get married and you have a kid, and you have a couple kids, and then God forbid your marriage doesn't work out. I still think it's beautiful that you have those children together, and there's great things can come from that. You can still co-parent you bejesus out of this relationship and make it so healthy, and those kids are going to be fine as long as you're both doing the right things. But that's still not what you didn't sign up for that. That's not what you wanted. So I just want to get you what you want. So long story short, the reason I'm tough on people that are dating, they've been dating for somebody for 2 years, because in the video I say, if you're wondering if you should get back to somebody because you've been waiting this time, the 2 weeks has gone by, and time kind of distorts things where you start to miss them a little bit more. You start to have a little bit of a rose-colored glasses on what was actually happening in the relationship. So I ask you some very important specific questions. And the questions I ask you is, did you feel valued and prioritized? Not perfectly, but consistently. Did you feel like they cared about your needs? Did they care about your feelings? Or Were you dismissed or invalidated when you brought up any concerns? Because what we do is we don't honestly answer those questions because we kind of have this, sometimes we can put those rose-colored glasses on and we don't actually miss that person. We miss the idea of
Absolutely.
who they could have been.
And
So
especially in dating, we're not even so much with that person as we are with the hopes of what they could be and what they mean to us. So
Yes.
we're not seeing them realistically or the situation.
Yeah.
And what you just said too, when you told them to ask themselves, did you feel valued? Did you feel seen and listened to? And even though Chris and I were super toxic in the beginning, I still felt like he was somebody who cared when I told him I was hurting or when I told him I needed something. Just because we were really bad at it didn't mean that, I saw that care there. And that's what made me say, this is worth pushing through us not knowing how to communicate and learning how.
Can I add something real quickly? Because that video is only 3 minutes long, which is actually pretty long for an online
Social
video.
media.
It's pretty long.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say, what I didn't get a chance to say is, well, one, if you answered yes to all those questions, or at least most of them, then yeah, maybe you should give them another chance. Like, that's absolutely like, because just because you broke up, and that's when I said that I thought about you, because like, just because you broke up doesn't mean that this relationship isn't going to work. You're a classic example of that.
Absolutely.
Where you guys had a split and then you came back together and things are great now.
Yeah.
And so, obviously what I would say is if you're answering those questions as, yes, I did feel valued, here's where it gets interesting. Then you kind of have to explore, well, why did you break up? Because sometimes it's an avoidant attachment issue where you just had to get out of there because things got too real, things got too intimate, things got too close, and so you bounced. And even there's girls who have anxious attachment and they need that space. I'm sorry, avoidant attachment.
Yes.
And they bounce too. They distance themselves because they need to feel safe and comfortable, and that's how they protect themselves.
You know what helped us too? We said during the breakup, when we were talking after that, we said, did you really want to break up? Or is it just that we don't know how to solve that issue? And both of us said, it's just that we don't know how to solve that issue. We don't 100%. Really want to break up. So,
100%.
Yeah.
And then you can move forward. Hopefully the goal is obviously that both people want to solve the issue. And that's something I could talk about all day, but I won't. But that's one of the biggest problems in marriage that I see is just like both people don't want to solve the issue. One person wants to solve the issue. The other person says there isn't an issue to solve.
Or they can't
what do you mean there's not an issue to solve? Like the other person just said there's an issue in this marriage. Like clearly there's an issue to be solved here.
Or they can't sit with the pain or the shame of being part of the issue,
Nope. They cannot sit with that. It's so uncomfortable. And so what happens in that discomfort is all those coping mechanisms, your anxious attached person will just continue bending over backwards. They'll just not bring up the conflict anymore. They'll suppress those needs because that's what's safe in the moment.
Yep.
The
I'll
avoidant,
just need less.
I'll just need less. Or you know what? Maybe I'm not even allowed to have those feelings and needs.
Yeah. Maybe I need too much. Yeah.
Maybe I need too much. Maybe they're right when they tell me that I'm just being too sensitive and needy.
Easy to do when we have them on a pedestal.
So easy
also.
to do.
I remember doing that.
And then from the avoidant, if you might misinterpret her silence as things are fine. Things aren't fine for her. She's feeling distant and disconnected. So anyways, there's your question. I won't answer it because I've already talked too much, but your question initially was like, when do we leave a marriage? And that is that's a very here's what I would say. I'll give you the shortest answer to that, which is if you feel chronically disrespected, if you feel like they don't care about your needs and feelings, if you feel like you can't resolve conflicts without just massive fighting, if they're yelling at you, if there's any name calling, if there's belittling nature, if there's addictions, if there's pornography, if there's drinking going on, if you don't feel safe, I'm not saying get a divorce tomorrow, but you better be in counseling. You better be talking to a pastor. If you go to church, you better be talking there. What you cannot do is nothing and sweep it under the rug and give them the benefit of the doubt. If I got anything from Stan's message, it was we both need to be protecting this thing. We both need to be understanding what it needs, how to feed it for this thing to thrive. And like he said before, like, it's not even about thriving sometimes. It's about, can this even function?
Right.
And it can't. People email
Sometimes
me all the time and
doesn't.
say, he's, you know, he or she is doing this type of behavior. How can we make this relationship work? And sometimes I say, it can't work with that type of behavior.
Right.
So
Right.
so if you want it to work, which it can still be healed, and it's, you know, things can still go in a positive direction, but you need to be fiercely protecting it and protecting yourself, and going and getting help in all the ways that are possible.
I like that.
And
I wonder.
And the last thing I'll say is this.
Continue.
Because there's only one pushback, and they'll say, yeah, but they won't go. They won't get help. They won't
Right.
go. And the only thing I would say to that is the same thing that Stan said, is once you're at that point,
Yeah.
you're no longer in a partnership. You're not
Right.
in a sustainable partnership. You can stay in that relationship, but it is not an actual partnership, because that
Right.
requires security and safety. So
Yeah.
anyways, and he said there's always a cost. And
Oh,
that
sure.
you will both will feel that cost if one person is saying, I refuse to go and protect this relationship. Okay, I'm going to shut up now, and then I'm going to start asking you some questions.
I thought if you said an easy, short, succinct answer to should I stay or should I go in a relationship, I feel like Stan would probably agree. Maybe. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but if only one person is working and it's unsustainable for that one person, like the effort they need to do is more than they can bear, that would be your sign, probably,
Yeah.
that you can't shoulder the burden.
Right. So it gets really tricky really quickly. For me personally, we're not going to dive into this today because we're already 40 minutes in. But,
Are we? Stop it. Are we? Oh, well, we had a little break there.
We had a little break, but I get, so this goes back to what I wanted to talk about with my post a week ago, is I got a lot of people saying, this is an interesting perspective, especially because I know that you're Christian, and it sounds like you're just like telling people to divorce. And so I won't get into that today, because it gets very complicated very quickly. I know there's a lot of people of faith, and, obviously I wouldn't be telling people to divorce in a 3-minute video, or,
Hopefully not. Yeah.
yeah. And I did not say the word divorce in that video, but I did get a lot of messages that were like, I thought you were a Christian and it sounds like you're telling people to divorce. But that's why I said my inspiration was kind of somebody who's dating or they're not married, because once you're married, that requires a little bit of a longer video that people probably don't have the attention span for.
Absolutely. Probably not. I think you did that well. Hey, can I segue into maybe a more lighthearted thing? Something you posted a week or two ago. You were talking about, I think it was Emily's plants that you were talking about.
Yeah.
How like maybe she wasn't so great with plants before,
She was terrible.
but then she became amazing at caretaking plants. And I was listening to that video, and the part that really got me was where she said, I just had to learn what they needed to thrive.
Yep.
And it made me think about how I act in relationships, because you relate this to relationships later on in the video. I also I would buy plants and I would just put them where I thought they looked great and they would die, right? And I wanted to be a plant person and I loved plants, but I wasn't doing my work,
Oh my
I wasn't
gosh.
doing my work to figure out what light they needed, what water
So
they
beautifully
needed.
said, yeah.
I know, what a perfect metaphor for relationships too. And I
Yes.
want you to know, and you can tell Emily this too, that as soon as I watched that, I looked up every single one of my plants, and I had like most of them in the wrong light requirements, the wrong containers. So I'm going to,
Yes.
I repositioned a lot of them. You can see I have a new one
I
back
saw that one
there.
already,
Yeah. It's a low light plant. Apparently I had it in the brightest window, south facing window of the house. That's
Love
why
that,
it's
yeah.
scorched. But I thought too, if you want a plant, which I'm putting up air quotes for the people that can't see, if you want a plant, which is really a relationship, it's your duty as the plant owner, as the person inside a relationship, to look up and learn about what that needs to thrive, or else you're just going to end up with a scorched spotted begonia that may not come back. I don't know. I guess
we're
yeah.
in each other's care.
Yes. His new book, available
His
on
new book,
Amazon. Yeah.
We are not being
Yeah.
paid to promote that book.
We're certainly not.
Certainly not. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway,
No,
I
think-
just love
yeah.
that.
I think
What a
that
beautiful
when
metaphor.
she said that, I was like, oh my gosh, that is relationships, because and that's us. Like Emily and I, that's us. When she was like,
Yeah.
I just didn't know. She has. I don't mean to sound like she's like a plant hoarder, but she has over 100 plants.
Wow, really? Wow.
And they're
Plant
all
goals.
over. I mean, they're
Yeah.
all over. I mean, literally all over. And there are certain, I don't know how many, I'm sure there's similarities, but there's so many that she has to do different things for. There's so much
Yeah.
variety. And that is, in the video, I do talk about like some of her plants live in water. Other times, other plants, if they lived in water, they would die. Like other,
I love it. Plants,
some
like
plants-
relationships, have different requirements. You know,
Yes.
individual plants have different
Yes.
individual requirements for what
and
it takes
just
to
like
thrive.
your relationship, you might be with a Ricky who needs a little bit more reassurance than
Yes.
someone else, and
Yes.
that's okay. Like at
Right.
the end of the day, don't you think things would just be better if we were all just honest? If we were honest and cognizant, I guess would be, I don't know what the word is, self-reflective of what
Cognizance, right? Yeah.
yeah, what we need in this relationship. Like if we were honest about that, if we owned that, you know what? I do need a little bit more reassurance. I don't think I can, and I
Yeah.
don't mean to tangent on this, but something that always sticks out to me, and I will bring it up every chance I get, is I love Chris. He seems like a great guy.
Thanks.
But
yeah.
the moment I will always talk about how proud I was of you, the moment that you looked at him and you finally said, you essentially said, you can choose whatever direction you want, but I need X, Y, and Z, or this relationship can't really continue. Now, I don't want to put words in your
Yeah.
mouth. You can tell the story better, but essentially you finally said, I need this, and
Yeah.
it's okay if you don't want to provide it.
Yeah. But
And
it's
that
not
was-
okay for me in this real. Yeah. But
If
that
everyone
was a
could
big
just do that,
moment.
it's
That was a
beautiful.
huge moment. I think
It's a huge moment.
I think that moment helped give him a lot more trust for me too. Cause he knew, okay, this is somebody who knows what she needs and wants, and she's going to stand up for that.
That's attractive. That's
It
attractive.
was. He was that the story where I told you his tires squealed getting into my driveway? Like he was
Oh yeah.
yeah. But it's true. It's like when we can decide, when we learn what kind of plant we are and we own those needs and we can communicate them to other people, man, that's when a
think-
true relationship can begin between two people.
Ricky,
you know?
so well said. I didn't mean to interrupt you because that was
It's
so
all
well
right.
said. But we were, disclosure to the audience, we were going to talk about kind of like how our fear of abandonment can influence our relationship. But we're not going to talk about this episode. But what you just talked about right there is when you're starting to heal from any anxious attachment or something. I assume that a big part of it is, I don't know if conquering is the right word, but working through those fears and essentially telling yourself, you know what, I would rather be alone than in a relationship that doesn't work for me. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to let my fear of abandonment keep me in situationships
Yeah.
or whatever those where my needs aren't being prioritized. And that's, I'm not going to demonize the other person. I'm just going
Right.
to say this relationship
just not
isn't
for
going to
me.
work for me.
Totally.
And that's a huge moment in
Oh,
somebody's
that's so huge.
journey.
I think when
Yeah.
you can say that to yourself honestly and you
Yes.
believe it, you've
Yes.
officially crossed the threshold
have.
into secure attachment, probably.
Yep. And you know
Well,
what? You might
also
still be,
when you can follow through with what it takes
Yes.
to make that statement an
and
actual
that's not to
thing.
say that it's not
Yeah.
still scary. And like,
it's terrifying.
Well, when
Yeah.
am I going to get another partner? And when am I going to feel closeness again? And when am I going to have, it's still
Yeah.
scary.
It's-
But when
yeah.
you can understand that it's better for me to be alone than
Yeah.
in a relationship where my needs aren't being prioritized. That's
Yeah.
huge. That's
Can we
huge.
just think of ourselves as a bamboo plant who needs to be sitting in water to thrive, right? And if you're trying to be with somebody who's not going to give you that big water basin to sit in, you can try to survive sitting in dirt or in something other than water,
Yep, and
but you're
most
going to
people do.
dry. Yeah, and most people do, but you're just going to shrivel up and die.
How much
yeah.
self-love does it take for you to finally admit, you know what, my needs aren't too needy?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
But you know what really helps is what I hope that we're doing. I hope and pray that we are a little bit of a catalyst where people can at least be a little bit validated and say,
Yeah.
I thought I was too needy. I thought asking my partner for X, Y, and Z was being too needy. I mean, that's what they told me, and I'm just used to believing people. But like hearing you guys, I know now that like I'm not being.
Yes. Please tell me
crazy.
that it breaks your heart when you get messages from people that say, "Hey, I would like to see my partner more than once a week. Is that too needy?" That's a real message I get.
I get tons.
And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because I want to be like, dude, if I were in a relationship with you, that's not enough frequency of contact for me. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you and I are perfect and destined to be together. It's just that, you know, there's lots of people who need exactly what you need. There are people who need more than what you need, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, what am I trying to say? There's not, you need too much. It's a problem of negotiating with the person that you want to be with to find a happy medium where both people feel good.
Yep. I saw a message from you about you'd have to reword it, but like when sometimes breaking up is like cake and balloons. Like you deserve cake and balloons for that.
Yeah.
And
well,
let's
get it right, because some people are enraged when they hear that, right? We got to get that one. It was a really, I think it was a writer. It said, sometimes I think that someone deciding that a relationship isn't right for them and leaving, and sometimes when that results in divorce, deserves cake and balloons. And I was like, I'm of the same opinion sometimes. And that's not to say that I think divorce deserves cake and balloons and celebration. Right. Divorce is very sad. It's a heartbreaking thing that's hard. But I think when I hear about somebody who has the bravery to decide, hey, I've analyzed what kind of plant I am, and this is not the place that I'm going to thrive, and I can't do that here. No offense to the other person, but it's just not the right place for me. Yep. I would throw a party for that person, you know?
Because that takes so much courage. We have a bad habit of kind of demonizing that and saying like, that they, I don't know. I would bet that in that scenario, the vast majority of people did so much to try to like, hey, can we try to fix this? And the other person is like, I don't really care.
That's an important caveat. Yeah. I would never throw a party for somebody who just was like, it got hard and I decided to walk away. I'd be like, you don't get a party. That's I'm not going to throw a party. I mean, I'll come to the party if someone's going to throw one, but I'm not throwing that for you.
No. But if someone is leaving unsafe situations and they finally got the courage to stop bending over backwards for people.
Or they've been working for years and nothing's moving and nothing's happening. It can still be very scary to walk away from that.
Sometimes it's still a sad party, but it deserves, you deserve some recognition. Like,
I agree.
Yeah, anyways. What else do we want to talk about in this? We'll get one final, why don't we just go back to Stan? What was one other thing that you loved about Stan's analogies? Can I disagree? You want me to disagree with Stan? Would that be a good?
Oh, if you want, go ahead. Throw something out that you disagree with. I hope you're not listening,
Stan, because I don't.
Do you think he's listening? Hi, Stan. Is he listening? No. I just want to say hi.
Just for a moment, you're like, but could he be?
Maybe.
I mean, maybe.
He did say he had a good time, so.
He said he really liked us. Let me disagree with Stan, and I'll do it in the most respectful way possible, because he knows how much I respect him.
Because I'll fight you if you're disrespectful about Stan.
Thank you. I like the way that you keep me honest. Okay. He said one thing, and I don't know if this was, I think this was on the record. Yeah. Where he essentially said, don't get too focused on the why.
Oh,
don't get too focused on the why. Like just stop the behavior.
You did seem sketched out about that. Yeah.
let me tell you what I'm thinking, and I bet he would agree with me, because everything is so nuanced, and sometimes we don't have time to explain ourselves. I believe he still believes everything he said, but here's what I would disagree with. I believe the why is important, and let me tell you why. let's take affair recovery, for instance. Let's take someone who betrays their partner sexually. I believe the why is very important in that dynamic. So if I betrayed my partner, which unfortunately I did, for people who know my story, I believe that if Jimmy from today was talking to Jimmy right after that, during the healing process and the trust rebuilding and figuring out how to navigate this, I believe if someone said, well, just don't cheat ever again, like, don't worry about the why. Don't worry about why you did it.
Right.
Just stop the behavior. Don't ever cheat again. Problem solved. I would say no, in that sense, the problem is not solved. If you don't understand why you strayed, then I don't believe you're healing, and I believe you're putting yourself at risk for doing it again. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yes, it does.
Sometimes I believe the why matters a lot. It matters why you strayed, because sometimes we stray. We'll have to do an affair recovery
We
episode.
absolutely will. It's coming up.
but
By the way, I get
a-
messages on
yeah.
that too. Our affair recovery episode is coming up.
Yeah, but people obviously stray for lots of different reasons. I mean, think about obviously a lot of when it comes to a woman straying, there's usually an emotional connection involved. They usually feel neglected in their marriage. They're obviously
Yeah.
they feel
Emotionally.
like it's there's an emotional affair that turns into a physical affair. A lot of men stray, and they say things like, "It was just, the bed.
Physical.
It was
Yeah.
just physical." So like, and they use that as a very detrimental way of saying like, no, but it was just physical.
Right.
It was just physical.
Right.
Like, well, I don't know why it was a one-time thing. It was just physical. I'd had a couple of drinks. It's not a big deal, but like,
Right.
it's a huge deal. Anyways.
Sure.
So-
And in both of those situations, the why is critical to making
Critical.
sure that it doesn't happen again.
critical in that first situation when where it's someone that has had an emotional, it was a deep emotional connection with this person. They were trying to fill a hole that was in their marriage. And if we don't get into the why, then that hole is never going to be filled. And
Totally.
what do you think is going to happen in that marriage? You can stay and you can just say, no, let's work this out. But if nobody ever explores the why, then you're never going to have any growth. And that's where you get serial cheaters. I mean,
Sure. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because the underlying issue is not addressed. Let me advocate for Stan real quick too, since he's not here.
please
right.
do.
I think in his saying the why isn't important would
Yeah.
apply more to more lighthearted situations.
100%,
In the example of think of your partner is upset because you keep leaving dirty dishes in the sink.
Yeah.
It's me. I'm that partner. No name. I didn't want to name names, but it's me, right? And Stan is saying, "Don't worry about the why. Just do better. Just do better." Right?
I love
And
that.
it's true. I don't know that it would really help my partner and I if we sat around and debated on why I was, just if it's
Yes.
bothering him, I am his whisperer. I am his caretaker.
I love
Is that what he
that.
said? He's in my care, right?
Yeah.
And if I see that something's bothering him, I need to
love
just
that.
do it better. I'm not going to sit around and journal about dishes. I'm just going to go do the dishes because he cares about that.
Now, one thing I would push back on is like if you're talking about anger. So lots of people have anger, men and women.
Oh, yeah.
And if someone was to give you the advice, you're having anger problems. Okay. Just don't be angry anymore.
Yeah, you
And
can't
you're
do
like,
that.
well, okay, I'll try. And then the
Yeah.
next week, I'm still having anger issues. And if they were like, can we explore why? And you were like, the why doesn't really matter. Just don't do it anymore. You would find that would be impossible because you never figured out the underlying
Yeah.
symptom. Like this is a symptom masking for something else. And
No,
you've
that's
never,
fair. I
yeah.
think you just changed my opinion. Sorry,
No,
Stan.
but for the small, no, but for the Stan, I knew that Stan was thinking of those small things.
Small
like,
things, yeah.
Yeah, the little small things where you're just annoyed. Like this is annoying. He's like, you don't need to overanalyze everything. Sometimes you just need to stop doing
well,
things.
right there. That's what it
Or
is.
start
He's saying
doing things.
maybe when it's small, don't overanalyze it. Just do
Yeah.
better, right?
Now, is that hard to
Yeah.
figure out like what's small? And yeah, of course. But
Yeah,
like it's a balance just like anything else. Yeah.
sure. And even with dishes, you might have massive resentment about that stuff. And that's worth digging into and discussing with your partner.
Oh my gosh, resentment.
Workload
like,
and yeah.
going back to the affairs, that's another reason people stray. Like it's
Yeah.
just they didn't realize this is so true. And I know we're going to leave soon, but like when it comes to protecting your relationship, one thing that I wish that I would always tell people is you need to be paying attention if there's any resentment, because like you might have a ton of resentment in there that you're not aware of.
Yeah. I think resentment's easier to feel too than some other things. It was for me anyway. I guess I can't speak for everyone, but when I really stopped to think about it, building resentment is one of the things that cues me into my overgiving or people pleasing, you know, because I can feel it, but that also could be because I've been practicing feeling it. You know, somebody who's been stuffing resentment down might be less good at noticing it.
Oh, very much so. I think people are very bad at noticing resentment.
Okay.
That's something that maybe I should do some more research on and make a video. Like,
yeah,
sometimes it's hard to know. Are you resentful? Like,
I have a little hack if you want to know, right?
Obviously.
Yeah. Sometimes it's specifically when I do things for someone, I try to imagine a scenario where they never found out that I did it and they'll never repay me or say thank you. Do I still feel comfortable doing that thing?
That's lovely.
And if the answer is no, I'm going to be piling some resentment on in the event that things don't work out exactly how I want it to. So that's why in everything I do, I try to imagine what will happen if nobody ever says thank you for this, right?
Yep.
That's how I know I'm giving from a place of, is that the same thing? Are we tangenting like crazy? I don't know.
This is the tangent episode, yeah.
Oh, that's true.
That's
it is.
Okay. I loved it. I
and
really
the interruption.
loved it.
I did too. This was a good one.
It was good.
Hey,
is there anything else we want to talk about?
Yeah. Before we go, I want to say, I just absolutely love, we've been getting a lot of messages that start with like, hi, I'm Frank. And I just like, oh my gosh. And hi, I'm
Did
Carol.
I send you that one today?
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
but I get those too.
So good. What was his
I get
name?
messages
I wanted to give him
from
a shout out. I forgot his name.
No, Jared.
Jared.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jared. That was the best message ever. I don't know if you're going to listen to this. He said he listened to him. So, Jared,
I love it.
Here's your shout out.
I love it. I think if we made like t-shirts with like Frank and Carol, like we might actually, I love that people are owning it though. You know, they're seeing themselves in those scenarios and they're like, not only are they like, this is me, but like, I'm glad I'm here listening and doing something about it. I don't know. It all seems very positive.
For anyone who's actually listening to our podcast, and I really hope that you feel like it was worth your time, because I understand it's a huge time commitment, and
it is.
We really strive to make it somewhat helpful.
Useful.
Our only goal is to give you tools to help you in your relationship.
That's true. As of right now, they're not paying us for this yet. So we're really like, it's a labor of love, and we're here to help. And your messages saying that these are helpful are everything. They're keeping us going.
They really are. Yeah, they are the supply. It's not money, but it's
validation that the words coming out of our mouth. Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, this was so much fun.
This was fun. I liked this one.
Let's do it again next week.
Yeah, is this the blooper part now where I tell people one more time, like, please stop talking about interrupting on the reviews, guys. You're hurting my feelings, and I think we've gotten a lot better, but I do think that a big part of these early podcasts are figuring out how the back and forth is, and we're new at this, you know.
I'm just trying to let. I'm just.
Is it just rolling off your back? Are you fine with the comments?
Oh no, I don't read them, Ricky. They cause me too much.
Okay, maybe I'll stop reading them. But I love the comments, and I love talking. I love the dialogue back and forth. The YouTube comments are very helpful. But man, guys, we're doing our best.
You, Ricky? Oh,
sometimes, but you too. You got hammered on the last one too. I think.
Fantastic.
Really? Does that make you feel better?
Yes. I don't want it to be just you.
Okay.
I loved that. You were honest and raw there. That was wonderful.
Really? Just I can say that? Okay. Like, hey guys, stop hurting my feelings.
I don't know if you can, but I enjoyed it.
Okay. Thanks. Because really, like, we're here because we want to be. We're very passionate about what we're speaking about. I love listening to what Jimmy has to say. He and I have kind of a interrupting thing going on, and I think we're okay with that.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I like good friends who don't mind talking over each other. I don't know. And talking over sounds bad,
Yeah,
but you know what I mean.
Bad. Well, and you're right. I'm a good portion Italian, and that's what that's a family I grew up in. If you're excited about the conversation, you're excited to contribute. I don't know. I'm glad it works for you.
And if I can speak out on your defense, I don't read too many comments because I'm extremely sensitive. I don't know if people know that about me. I have a terrible habit of, I could read 9 positive comments. Oh, this was awesome. And then one that's like, I got one comment that I sent Ricky today.
Yeah.
Somebody watched my video and they said, this is why the divorce rate keeps going up. It's people like you. And I was like, well, that's a wrap on this. I don't plan on making videos anymore. Like, Ricky knows that those types of comments, even if
they just got you.
They just got you.
They
and I was like, me? I'm increasing the divorce rate? Like, that was the whole goal, to lower it. Like, you're telling me that I'm like, I gotta pack up shop, you know?
I know.
I am so sensitive. I'm working on it, people. I'm working on it.
Maybe on the 50th or 100th episode, when we both have leather skin, we could just like do dialogues of our criticisms and negative feedback. Maybe. That might, I don't know. Would people like that?
So I'm sorry. What I was trying to say, I was trying to come to your defense and say that I've never felt like Ricky once interrupted me. If anybody has actually watched this episode, I guarantee you I talked for 70% of it. Go back and look at, like, when I edit these things, I see like the dialogue boxes, and sometimes I just see my dialogue box as just like massive. Ricky's like peppered in here, and then I'm like, they're complaining that she's interrupting. I'm like, I talked for the majority of it. Of course she had to interrupt. She's the co-host. Like,
I know. And I'm working on letting you monologue as well. But I know that
you shouldn't.
I know that you don't necessarily want, like, when it's been like 3 minutes and you're still talking, in my brain, I'm like, Jimmy wants some help here.
Yep.
And I need to just go.
We are in each other's care.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Well, good. And the comments will still come after this, but for the diehards, they know this is our rapport, and we dig it.
Here's the good thing. If you read the comments this time, I guarantee there'll be a ton of people that say, I think that you guys are, I don't think you're interrupting each other.
I love it.
I've never noticed that. The people that are saying that, like, that's their pet peeve, and we totally agree. I understand that.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of people who are like, most people aren't going to write, I don't think you guys interrupt each other. Nobody's going to write that.
Right. And
now.
And like plants that are all individual, there's many podcasts that they can listen to.
I love that you keep pushing that. This is the second time that you've said, there's other podcasts that you can go.
I love it. Get out of here, guys. I'm telling you though, your plant metaphor like echoes in my head several times during the day.
It sounds like you need extra sunlight. You need to be over there.
Not in the dark space here where we interrupt constantly. Okay, cool. That feels like a good place to end it. Yeah.
I love it. We'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.
I love that.
No, he's cool. He was smiling. Did you like that? Good. I said, how about I take care of that when I'm done recording?
I heard that. And I was worried when you said that, because I was afraid that things weren't going well. And you were like, that was you trying to be like, I'm so sorry, but like...
Oh, no, that's the people pleaser in me. Things were going great. And I was still good. I'm so sorry for existing. Let me take care of these as soon as, the old habits die hard. Okay.
I wish that we could just do a whole episode on just making fun of people pleasers. Like, I'm so sorry for existing. Oh
I love that. I saw that somebody said that in a video and I just died because I was like,
I just watched the... I'm going to put this in the after. I'm going to put this like in the blooper reel.
The bloopers.
I just watched the some video. I wish I would have created it. Gosh, I wish I would have had
I know that feeling.
And it's somebody robbing you.
No, I saw that one. I saw that one. He was like, do you want me to just load the TV up for you? I can do that.
Do I need to unplug the dishwasher? What do you need? It was so funny. And I was like,
this spot on.
This is gold. Like, this is... I wish that I would have thought of this. Like, I'm so angry. I see funny things now, and I'm just angry that I didn't think of them. I'm like, why didn't I think of that?
Oh, well, what are you going to do? Okay, are we back into it?
Yeah. Do you remember what you were saying? I don't remember what I was saying.
I don't remember. I'll just stop. I'll just launch into a new thing. Are you ready? No, that's okay.
It won't make sense.
Or you can leave the whole thing and they can hear my interaction with Chris and the dishes and the dog. And
no.